Peter, thanks for doing this for us and.
No, it was good, perfect.
Thank you very much. We forgot yesterday to give you something. This is T-shirt of our team in Sofia in Bulgaria.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The old star.
Yeah.
When I used to play, I used to sign the star. I used to be a bit cheeky, but you always used to insist on signing the star.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you. I'll wear that when I play five-a-side back home.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. It
Thank
will
you.
be good.
How do you feel in Bulgaria? How did you like the event here with the Bulgarian supporters? And what would you say? What would you say to the Bulgarian fans? And what would you bring back home? I mean, what would you tell the people back in Newcastle?
It was a brilliant experience. So everybody couldn't have been nicer. You know, they seem to enjoy it. So it's nice for me to reminisce about old stories and my time at Newcastle, because obviously both times, so 4 years in 83 to 87 and then 4 years 93 to 97 was just amazing. So it's great and it's easy for me because you remember good times and it's easy to talk about good times. So I had a lot of good times and wouldn't swap a day of it, good or bad, because not everything's perfect. You know, we were talking about the entertainers last night and obviously 90, 95, but it was quite appropriate that it was the anniversary and we were able to watch the goals going in. You know, obviously Shearer, Ferdinand, obviously Genola, Philip Albert and Darren Peacock first. It was great for me because obviously I'm lucky in the sense that I've lived it all and I've had brilliant memories, so I wouldn't swap a day of it.
Great. What would you like? Did you know before coming here? Did you know that there are Newcastle United fans in Bulgaria? And what would you tell back home to the people when they ask you how was it in Bulgaria?
Yeah, it was amazing. So yes, obviously I didn't realise how committed they were, as in how many there were. So obviously I knew there was a few because obviously I was asked to come over, but the reaction. So obviously when we started watching the game yesterday, sort of obviously 5 o'clock local time, 3 o'clock back home. When we got in, obviously into the bar in town, in there, and obviously it was exclusive to Newcastle. Really, I was really surprised at that. But when we started, when we first went, obviously the three of us, there was probably about 15 people there. Yeah. But by the end, there was like I said last night, there must have been at least 70 by the time we finished, and it was brilliant. It was great, and as I said, it was good for me to see the emotions, you know, because obviously. It wasn't like something that's not genuine. It was really genuine, you know, the highs and lows of the excitement of the game. You know, before Brighton scored, Newcastle had a couple of great chances and that was the disappointing thing. But to see people like almost willing the ball into the net and then the reaction when it doesn't go in, you know, but that's football for you and that's the great thing about football. But the excitement within the fans was really, really good and really obviously genuine. And as I said to you, you know, obviously some of you have been before more than once, but we always think Newcastle is a special place. But it just shows us that away from Newcastle, as in further afield, what it means to people. So we obviously know it means that in the city, but to see it in different parts of the world was incredible, and the reaction of the people are obviously disappointed with the result. But I think they all trust in Rafa, you know, so long term it'll be okay.
Thank you for the kind words. Many people consider you as the greatest Newcastle player ever. I know that probably you never admitted yourself, but tell me, like, who do you think is the greatest of all time, or let's say who are the greatest, if you can mention one of them?
Yeah. So
and who are your personal favorites?
Yeah. So my personal favorite, that with all due respect, probably wouldn't be the greatest, but my personal favorite growing up was Jinky Jimmy Smith. Loved him. I thought, like, you know, obviously the nutmeg back in England is a big thing, but I asked him about it and he used to say he does it at the right time, so he's not trying to be clever, he's not trying to make somebody look silly. It was like, so I need to get past him, what's the best way, and to be fair, and so that was a great thing. But I was lucky, so in my time, so first time round, Kevin Keegan and Terry McDermott would be like above anything in terms of that. So I never realised how good Terry McDermott was. I knew he was good. Obviously, you win European Cups with Liverpool, you're obviously good. But when he was at Newcastle, he was like a step ahead of me. So when I first arrived in '83, his brain was like so far ahead of me. So he kept running past me, and I'm thinking, where's he going? What's he doing? But what he was running for was either to give me space or for me to pass him the ball. And eventually I got it and started passing the ball, and at the end, so in the second half of my first season, he scored about 7 or 8 goals, you know, from midfield, which was amazing. But him and KK as a pair were just incredible for me and Waddle. In particular, Gaza came in as a schoolboy at that time, when he could, not all the time, but for me and Waddle it was amazing, and what an education we got because of that. But then second time around, in terms of, obviously when I first arrived, we obviously had Andy Cole, who hadn't yet showed that he was going to be a superstar. He ended up being a superstar, but we had, you know, Scott Sellers, who was an unsung hero when I first arrived. Rob Lee, who eventually became a top player. So he was a good player, but then he became an amazing player. And then obviously when you talk about Ginola, unbelievable, like physique in terms of ability, so left and right, didn't matter which way the ball came to him, he could control it. Tino Asprilla was the same. You know, I was lucky that I played with some unbelievable players, but then you look at Shearer, 260 goals, you know, like that will never be beaten, and 206 for Newcastle. So the Premier League record, I don't think will ever be beaten. I know people say that Harry Kane maybe, but not sure he'll be at Tottenham for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to go. I love him being in the Premier League, but I don't think anybody will beat it. I really don't, and I know records are there to be broken, but Alan was an absolute superstar, and obviously for him to beat Melbourne's record, you know, and to get 206 goals for Newcastle was amazing. You know, obviously amazing player, amazing goal scorer. You know, obviously we see him all the time back home on TV, but he should be, I'm being selfish here, he should be back in football as a coach, as a manager, because he obviously has the knowledge, he has the ability, and it was just, so those 8 years, as in 4 and 4, nobody could have had a better 8 years, and not because of me, but because of the people I played with and the experience I had. So second time around, I mentioned all the people I played with, but to have Kevin and Terry back as the manager and the coach was just like wow moments for me. And they're so great to go back home because it's my team, but to go back for them too was amazing. They just, and obviously I was with them 2 or 3 weeks ago, you know. Yeah. And football's like that, so when you haven't seen somebody for a long time, it's like you've never been apart.
Yeah.
Because you start talking about the memories and the times that you had, and Newcastle obviously will always be in my blood, you know, will always be in Alan Shearer's blood, you know. He turned down Man United to come to Newcastle, so you know what it means to people, and obviously I saw last night what it means to you people, so you, and I don't mean this in a bad way, you will never feel it like we do, but for what you did last night and what the reaction was to Newcastle in general, you know, and the things that we saw on the TV, the 5-0 we were watching, was just amazing. And as I say, to be the anniversary yesterday was quite appropriate.
It was another anniversary the day before, on 19th of October. It was 35 years ago. It was your first goal for Newcastle against Swansea, yeah? Or against Cardiff?
Cardiff.
Against Cardiff. What do you remember of it?
I remember it was a long time coming. So I remember Arthur Cox used to keep saying to me, any chance you score a goal? And it's like, but we were talking about it, obviously the three of us yesterday, about how I probably, it sounds big-headed, but I scored more goals than probably most people thought, generally. Yeah. But that wasn't my job in the team. So yes, nice if I can score a goal now and again, but I wasn't seen as a goal scorer. I was seen as a goal maker. So, you know, when you're on the pitch, so I never ever thought about scoring a goal. So while I'm playing, I never thought I need to score a goal, I need to score a goal, I need to score a goal. I always thought we need to score a goal. So I was more about making a goal for Andy Cole, obviously Alan and Les, and, you know, Tino and David, and, you know, that was my role, you know. So when I went to Liverpool was the same, you know, for John Aldridge, for Ian Rush, obviously England with Gary Lineker. That's how I seen my job. So great if I scored a goal, and obviously I did get a lot of credit off people, but it wasn't. So when I went on the field, it was about winning and about the team winning, and it didn't matter. So it really didn't matter who scored. So you look at Darren Peacock scoring the first goal against Man United, wouldn't have had a bet on that, so I wouldn't have. And then Philippe Albert to score the last goal. Wow. And I wouldn't have had a bet on that. But the three in between, so obviously Ginola, Shearer and Ferdinand, yes, all day, every day. Yeah. But
You almost scored. When Shearer scored, actually Schmeichel blocked
to be
shot
fair,
by you.
to be fair. So if you're Schmeichel, and he is superstar as a goalkeeper, one of the best ever, if not the best in the Premier League, he'll be disappointed. So he made two brilliant saves. So made a good save from me, and then he another one obviously from Shearer, and then from Les, and then Shearer puts it in. And so he'll be disappointed. So the first save from me on another day, he would have caught that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
So I really, because of how good he is, he would have caught that. You know. So the second one is really unlucky. So he's made a first save. He would be disappointed it got away from him. But then his reaction to do the second one from Les is a brilliant save. And so he thinks he maybe got away with it. And then Shearer bangs the third one in. So it was a bit of a shame for him. But he was obviously possibly the best goalkeeper ever in the Premier League. And then obviously we sadly suffered that when we had the 12-point lead, didn't we? You know, so when we lose 1-0, he was the reason that Man U and Cantona, so them two as a pair. So Cantona would score one, and then Schmeichel would keep a clean sheet for about 7 or 8 games. It seemed like that happened. And from being 12 points down, they deservedly won the league. You know, I've talked about it before. The team that wins the league almost every time is the best team. You know, and even Leicester 3 years ago, they were the best team. So fair play to them, and that's what football is. So when I went to Liverpool, not because of me, but we were the best team. So we win the league twice out of 3, and that's what happens. You know, so it's very rare the best team doesn't win the league.
What is your favorite goal in your career?
So my most enjoyable. So I have people. So I go to things like last night, and there would be people. I got asked the question last night, but people would be thinking, "Nah, I don't think it's that one. No, I don't think." And then I say
people
to
think
them,
it's the Brighton one.
but I say to them, so the question was to me, it wasn't to you. So, and that's what happens. So people say like, "So what's your favourite?" Well, this is my favourite. No, it was the Brighton one, which what you just said, but it was the Portsmouth one for me. So Kevin gives me a pass. I managed to get around the defender. As you know, we watched it last night, go past the goalkeeper, and I'm literally standing on the line, and as I said to you, Terry Mack shouting, put it in. And but I knew at the very worst that if he tackles me, it's going to be an own goal. Yeah, so he's going to slide the ball into the goal at the very worst. So the penalty didn't bother me. I never think of penalties. So I knew he would go in the goal some way, either me or him. So it was good, and obviously in them days the pitches were really muddy, so we just went sliding by as you saw last night, and then I just tapped it in. And so it was amazing. But you know, so I wasn't. Sounds really big-headed, but I wasn't a great goal scorer. But I sometimes scored great goals, and that's the thing. So people remember them. So I didn't score many tap-ins, you know. But it's nice when you do score a great goal, because in Arthur Cox's philosophy, his words always to the team. So there are times when you're losing, but try and send them home happy. Try and send the fans home with a memory.
The Newcastle way,
always in the game. So send them home with something that will live with them. So a special goal, obviously Kevin scoring his first goal against QPR when he first arrives, that will live with them forever. You know, Terry McDermott scoring brilliant goals, you know. That is a memory that, you know, so you'll see the people in Newcastle, like me, obviously going around Newcastle, obviously doing my shopping as normal, and people will say, "Oh, that goal was great." Was that your favourite? No. Oh, it was. No, it wasn't.
I want to ask you about a certain goal. It's against Norwich, and it was near the touchline on the right, and you scored with an outside of your, like it's a long-range shot. It was outrageous. How did you think about it? Like it's not natural. Like most players will try to cross, or so they'll never attempt to shoot.
You'll remember the nearest person to me. So when I scored was Mark Hottiger. So Mark Hottiger was a brilliant player. I mentioned last night. So he would be my best right back ever that I played with. So I played with some good ones, but he was amazing. But anyway, so so in the previous game, so that was obviously Norwich at home in the league. We played Norwich away at Christmas, round about Christmas, not exactly Christmas. But so we played Norwich, and Marshall was the goalkeeper, and I was watching him. So obviously I was watching the game, but I was watching him. So obviously, and he was always coming and taking chances, so taking risks in his positioning. And I thought to myself, watching the game. So if ever I get a chance to play against him, he's always off his lane. He's always where he shouldn't be, not in a negative way. So he's positive in one sense. But I thought, if I ever get the chance, I'm gonna. And we had this conversation, me and Mark Hottiger, like, not that it would happen then, but like, you didn't have to take a risk today.
Yeah.
So Mark was in the game. I was watching because I was injured. But I just said he's there for that type of thing. So I did it for England against Poland at Wembley. Same sort of thing. So goalkeepers take risks, and they have to, because they don't make saves and make decisions. If they don't, if we're watching the game yesterday, and Dubravka makes a brilliant thing where it looks as though Lacardia, however you pronounce it, the centre forward for Brighton, looks as though he's going to get the ball, but you see Dubravka come all the way to the edge of his box, sliding, and grabs the ball. So they have to make decisions that sometimes are 50-50, so it works, it doesn't work. But I knew Marshall took chances, and I said to Mark, I'm going to have him today. And obviously you think it's going to work and you hope it's going to work, but it doesn't always work. So, but the good thing is that when you're that type of player, people only remember the good things. So they don't remember that you've messed up 15 times before. They're not interested in that, and especially the Geordies, because they respect you. They, even if you try something and it doesn't come off, they can see what you're trying, because they're intelligent and they understand, and they can react and relate to what you've tried. And if you're in the hearts, as I big-headedly would like to think I am, they would give me more leeway, more chances, as in more or less criticism than other players, because I'm a local, because I'm one of them. If you look at Alan, when he came back, he could do no wrong, and he, as good as he wasn't perfect every game, but they knew he was trying every day, and that's all they asked. So for me personally, they were like incredible to me. They think I was incredible for them, but in reverse, what they did for me and what they allowed me to do on a football field was something I'll never forget. And that's the great thing. So memories are something that you never forget. So, and last night for me to be among all you people, and you all have a different opinion about the best goal, and you're like sitting, not arguing, but like debating, like, well, I thought this one was the best, and I thought, and it's really good. So to be in the middle of that, and people's reaction is really, really good.
The Sheffield Wednesday goal, was it a cross or you meant it?
No, I definitely meant it. So Kevin Pressman was in goal, and if you look at it again, so obviously the Bulgarian fan club will know it was definitely a goal in the sense that I went for it. So if you look in the box, so imagine this is the box, there's nobody in the box, no Newcastle players in the box that can be anywhere near the ball that I cross. So if it was a cross, it was a shot and cross, but no, it was definitely a shot. So Kevin Pressman, maybe so he obviously has to know where he is in the goal, so it's coming from over there. He has to know, but he's also looking here. What is in the box? What is it going to be a cross? Is it going to be a shot? But to be fair, he's not the biggest, and I don't mean that in a cheeky way, but he's not like 6'4" or whatever. So the goal lends itself to somebody being a small goalkeeper. So you imagine Barthez in the olden days, not the biggest. So it was like a thing that had nothing to lose. So if the very worst if I'd missed, it was going to be a goal kick. Yeah. So it's not the end of the world. So if you do that in your own box and you lose the ball, it costs you a goal. But in the second, third, Arthur Cox was part of the coaching staff then, and he always used to say, make them happy. And obviously that was our sort of, I don't even know what you would say, navy blue and purple strips, which was a brilliant strip. It's obviously reinvented again this year. A brilliant strip, one of my favourite strips, and and then obviously you end up jumping on players and in excitement, and it was brilliant. It was really, really, because Ginola had scored a brilliant goal in that game, and
the first one. Yeah,
to be fair, and wow. And if you remember his reaction, he was trying to fight people off because he wanted to celebrate. Yeah. We were, it was like really, really good because he wanted to celebrate, and it was amazing for him. It was a brilliant goal, and they smashed it in from 25 yards on the angle, and that team at that time had players that could do that. So at any stage, somebody could come up with a Philippe Albert against Manchester United, or a Ginola, or an Asprilla. When we played West Ham at home, scored like you talk about outrageous. His chip, he scored a chip against West Ham at St James's Park. Wow. You just have to see it. It was just like the ball goes up and down, and obviously you can't see the height of the ceiling from here, but it looks as though it goes about 30 yards in the air before it comes back and just nestles in the net. It was an amazing goal, and he was an amazing player. So they're the memories that people can never take away from you, and that is something that will live with me. So as much as the fans have had a brilliant time, being a player is something that you just can't buy.
Even better, right?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Because as much as it's great to score a goal, then everybody loves you because you've scored it for their team, and that is something that is hard to replicate, and it's hard to explain. But I think people know me, that so every time they come to me in Newcastle and talk about great goals, so it's great for them. Imagine what it's like for me. So I'm actually the person that's done that.
Yeah.
So as good as it is for them is amazing, but for me, I'm actually that person. So that makes me feel like amazing, and it really is an incredible position to be in. It's a privilege to be a Newcastle or an ex-Newcastle player. So Bob Moncur, as you know, works for the club. Last player to lift the trophy.
Yeah.
That will be with him forever, and obviously he keeps saying, and I understand, that he wants somebody else to win a trophy. So Alan, when he was there, wanted Alan to, when he was the captain, to lift the trophy. Rob Lee, you know. So, but you know, we hope we only have one chance now, the FA Cup this season, and who knows, you know, we may, you know, if Gateshead, obviously they won yesterday, if Gateshead get through the next two stages, we may get Gateshead, you know. So you never know, but yeah, it's an exciting time for the club because obviously Premier League is special. And obviously for you people, as in Bulgaria, you know, coming from all parts of Bulgaria, not just from Sofia, that is special, you know. So I was going to fine a few of them yesterday because they were turning up at 2 minutes past 3 and 3 minutes past 3. You know, the game had kicked off, and back home you get into trouble for that. But when you consider where they've come from, and the transport system, and you know, driving, whatever, amazing for you all to be together as you were yesterday was a special day.
Tell me this one, you've played in some special games in your career, like I think that you played probably in 4 of the most memorable games in the history of football. I would say the hand of God goal of Maradona.
Yeah.
You played against Maradona in '86 in this famous game.
Yeah.
You played at the game at the Hillsborough when the Hillsborough disaster struck.
Yeah.
You played in this Liverpool-Arsenal game that Arsenal took the title in the last minute at Anfield. And you played at the semi-final in Italy 90 against Germany.
Yeah.
And if you consider the 5-0 game against Man United, so you played in 5 of the best games in the history of football. But in general, what was the game that you always remember, like as the game of your life, let's say?
Yeah, so if
I ask you for the best game or the most memorable, let's say.
Yeah, so for me personally, in terms of how I played as an individual, would be the semi-final. So didn't expect to be in the team. So John Barnes gets injured against Cameroon. Pulls his hamstring, and at half-time in the game, Bobby Robson sends 5 of us, so 5 subs. So obviously one was a goalkeeper in them days. So in the World Cup now, everybody's a sub. So all your squad is the subs, but in them days there was just 5. So it was me, Steve Bull, Trevor Stephen, and Steve McMahon. We were the subs. So John Barnes, we know isn't going out for the second half, so we're not sure who's going to take
This is against Cameroon?
Cameroon, yeah. So this is the quarter-final before obviously we get to the semi-final. So John Barnes gets injured, pulls his hamstring, so we know, not in a horrible way, but he's out the World Cup really. So we come to the Cameroon the morning of the game, and Bobby Robson has to decide who he's going to pick. And obviously, so we're all sat at the bottom of the hill. So imagine these stairs that I can see, obviously up to the top. Bobby Robson sitting at the top. We were all sitting at the bottom, like facing him as a team. And he said that John Barnes is obviously not fit, so it's going to be the same 10 that played obviously the other night. And the only change is going to be, and he took forever to say, and we didn't know who it was going to be, really didn't. I was hoping it was me, but so eventually he says it's Питър Биърдсли, and so that was like an unbelievable moment. So that was just on the morning of the game, and so my wife was part of the wives, as in all the England wives had come over for the game especially, so the semi-final of the World Cup. But when she left England, she had no idea I was going to play, and I had no idea, so we were guessing, we were hoping, but to get to play in the semi-final was like amazing. So Guido Buchwald, who played for Germany at the time, we talked last year. So last night we talked about people kicking. So he kicked me and I kicked him. So all game, but respect, he was amazing. He really couldn't have been nicer. He was incredible. So at the very end we swapped shirts, which was unusual for me because I didn't used to swap England shirts other than people I knew. So anyway. So we come to obviously the end of the game, and it's 1-1 and it's penalties, and so we're walking around, and Bobby Robson comes up and talks to me and Gary Lineker, and he said, obviously you're my first 2, you know, what are you going to do? Do you know what you're going to do? And I said, and it sounds really horrible, and it wasn't meant to be, well, hopefully we're going to score. But it wasn't meant to be nasty. It wasn't meant to be, but then when I look back, I thought, and his reaction was. But then after that, he went, "There's 55 million back home watching. Don't let me down."
That's what he said.
That's what he said, but he didn't mean it nastily. He was excited that there was 55 million back home. He really was excited because what he did for England, certainly in my period, was incredible. You know, and what he's done to the city of Newcastle is incredible. You know, so Lady Elsie has carried on his foundation, and the way it works in Newcastle now is absolutely incredible. So what they have done, you know, Sir Bobby would be very proud of what has happened to his foundation in terms of how it's continued to grow and grow, you know, and he never ever believed how special he was, so he would never think he was special. But we're getting back to the England game, so we're getting to the penalties, so me and Gary were discussing it and we're talking, so you walk from the halfway line to the penalty spot, and the big thing is don't change your mind. Really, so that
if you're going to shoot left, you shoot left. Huh?
You always try to say, so when I work with the 23s, and you have a penalty shootout, don't change your mind. So it doesn't seem as though it's that far to walk from the centre circle to the penalty spot, so maybe 30, 45 yards. So you walk and you've got all sorts going on in your mind, but in a game like we had, you know, so my first thought was, you know, I hope I score for my wife who's sitting in the crowd, because obviously it would be hard for her, because you don't want your husband to miss, so it would have been difficult for her, but as easy as it sounds now, I just knew I was going to score, because I had played really well. I mentioned about possibly certainly the best England game I ever played. So you just know. Sometimes you just know you're going to score, and I knew I was going to score. But when you're walking, you're thinking, wow, he's big, that goalie, isn't he? And then you're thinking, the goal's not very big, is it? And you're thinking all negative thoughts, so you can't think anything else, you know. So, but to be fair to Gary and I, we go and we know what we're going to do. So, and then obviously David Platt after us, he obviously scores as well. And so you're thinking, yeah, good, you know, we're getting to the stage where it's nitty gritty now, so it's becoming serious, but you're obviously relieved, but then you feel for the ones that end up missing, so Stuart, and then Chris Waddle and Stuart Pearce, you know, you're devastated for them, you know, that is not a nice thing to have, so, but the great thing was, so Stuart in particular, was able to put it right in Euro 96.
Yeah, against Spain.
Against Spain, so that is a memory that probably is a better memory, obviously for him personally, obviously, but also Euro 96 was a special memory for England, you know, football's coming home and all that, so it was good for him, and obviously he deserved that, so he easily could have said no thanks.
I have one question about Euro 96, which I wanted to ask yesterday, but I forgot and we didn't have time. They dropped you out of the squad just before the tournament. Okay, you were 35 at the time and probably towards the end of your career, but you were probably at the form of your life because you had a great season for Newcastle. What happened there, and like how did you feel, and do you feel any regrets?
No, to be fair, no. So when I first go back to Newcastle, so obviously '93, Terry Venables not long after that takes over the England team, and so Terry Venables, unbeknown to me, had phoned Kevin Keegan, Terry McDermott. Is Питър Биърдсли still good enough to be in the England squad? Maybe not, not maybe as abrupt as that is, you know. So they'll have had a conversation, and obviously they know each other, and then so they did that type of thing, and so obviously he's asking them, and he trusts them. So I didn't know this, conversation that took place, and so they said yes, obviously, so I didn't know that, so I didn't know the conversation. So Kevin Keegan called me into obviously when I'm playing for Newcastle, calls me in and he said, I think you're going to get back in the England squad, Pedro. I went, nah. So at the time, you know, I'm 33, 34, don't be silly. So anyway, I think you will, Pedro. And him and Terry, so I don't realise that they've had a conversation with Terry Venables. So I'm.
They're playing like wise guys.
So
they know football.
So they're trying to. So I'm thinking, oh well, I'm doing all right, but so I'm thinking, them days are gone. So I really do think them days are gone. So I'm on 49 England caps at the time. Yeah. So I think so. Graham Taylor gave me my last one. You know, sadly he's not with us anymore, but he gave me my last one. So no problem. I'm on 49. Still absolutely delighted with it. So anyway, So them two are like, I didn't know at the time, but they're playing the game, so they're going, no, I think you will, Pedro. You're doing well, you know, we're happy with how you're doing. Yeah. So if you had the chance to play for England, would you pay £100 for Pedro? Yeah, of course. Go on, then we'll have a bet. So Kevin Keegan tell you what, I'll have a bet with you that £100 that you will play for England again. And I'm thinking, no chance. And I'm not being funny, I think, no chance. Yeah, I'll have a bet. £100, it's worth it, I'll play. And Terry Mack said, I'll have that as well. So £200 I lost. So they knew I was going to play for England. So Terry Venables had rang them, told them he was going to pick me. They discussed it, and so it cost me £200. But
cheeky guys.
£200 to play for England is nothing, you know. So they were really clever. But so to
You
be
played
fair,
another 10 games for England, huh?
yeah. So I got another 10. And to be fair to Terry Venables, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And I really mean amazing. So
What happened before Euro 96 then?
yeah, so Euro 96, he decided, so we obviously went to Hong Kong and China and obviously had a brilliant trip. And to be fair, he took me along and it was great. He took 26 of us, and obviously 4 of us were going to miss out. And unfortunately, I was one of the 4, but I knew that was a possibility because Nicky Barmby, to be fair to Sheringham and Shearer at the time, they were brilliant. So I got no issue with that. And Nicky Barmby was on his way up, as in a good young player, my style of player, maybe obviously a bit more athletic than me at that time. So I had no issue with that. And Terry Venables was amazing, really, really amazing.
What
so,
did he tell you? Like,
yeah, so he told me personally. So it wasn't like in the group that these are the 4 that are going to miss out. He told everybody. So I think Dennis Wise might have missed out then, and Rob Lee, I think. So he told us individually. So he was really positive, and he just said, but I had total respect for him. So it was good that he told me in the way he told me. And obviously I was in Hong Kong and China at the time, and he was brilliant. He really, really saw. It was quite funny because Robbie Fowler, who obviously you know plays for Liverpool, he was in the squad. But so Robbie Fowler thought he was going to miss out. So I had just been told, and I would be like, so we're obviously in the reception of a hotel. So we were in the hotel, obviously in Hong Kong and China. So yeah, we're in the hotel, and it's decision time, as in Terry Venables, unbeknown to Robbie Fowler, has told the 4, or is about to tell the 4, that they're not going to be in the squad. But Robbie Fowler didn't know that, so he said, I hope I'm in the squad, Pedro. I'm not sure I'm going to be. And he wasn't negative, he wasn't like, but I said to him, you'll definitely be in the squad, because I now knew, so I'd been told, so I knew the squad, and I said, no, you'll definitely be in the squad. And he said, what do you mean you'll definitely be in the squad? Well, you'll definitely be in the squad, because you're a great player, and I love Robbie Fowler, always loved him. Love him now, he's a brilliant person, like one of the funniest you'll ever meet. Yeah. But really funny without being rude or swearing or really tell you jokes all day, funny jokes that like no swear words, no. Honestly, really brilliant, really, really. But a brilliant player, brilliant finisher, one of the best I ever saw, and I really mean that. Loved him, still love him now. That left foot was amazing. Yeah. But anyway, so Terry Venables had told me and just said, you know, I'm going with a younger option. Teddy and Alan, as I just said to you, were amazing together. So, but to get 10 more caps than I got,
no regrets, huh?
No, absolutely. To be fair to Teddy Venables, he was amazing. So I was part of the Christmas tree. Yeah. If you remember, we had the 4-3-2-1, and so me and David Platt were the 2, as in behind Alan Shearer, and it was brilliant. No. To be fair, Teddy Venables was amazing to me. So I never expected to get to 50. So once I finished at 49. You know, if he'd just give me one more cap, I'd have been happy. Yeah. But to get to 59 was amazing.
Last 2 questions. First question, it's about your friend and, I don't know, mentor, Kevin Keegan.
Yep.
Tell us about Kevin as a player, as a manager, as a person, as
so, it sounds really stupid, I've said to you before, I call him God, because he was everything to me. So I was lucky, so get the chance to play with him. You know, so I get a phone call from Arthur Cox when I'm in Vancouver, and I don't know it's Arthur Cox because never heard his voice before. So obviously, internet and all that in them days in 1983 wasn't what it is now. So there was no mobile phones in England then. So in Canada we had them. So I get a phone call from Arthur Cox, but I think it's one of our players in Vancouver because So I've never heard of Arthur Cox in terms of speaking before. Yeah. So I knew he was the manager, but I didn't. And he said, would you like to come and be Kevin Keegan's strike partner? And so I'm in a shopping market, mile at a time in Vancouver. And so I'm sat in my car and I'm looking around because we all had Vancouver Whitecaps. We all had the same car.
But you had a mobile phone in 1983?
In Vancouver.
Yeah?
Yeah, so we
Wow.
had, but it was one of the bricks.
Ah, the big ones.
Yeah. So it was bigger than my car. It was, so yeah, it was one of them. So I get a phone call, and we come play for Newcastle with Kevin Keegan. And so I genuinely, I'm looking around and I'm thinking it's one of our players. So I'm looking for a car. So we all had the badge on. We all had the Vancouver Whitecaps badge on. It was a Ford Lynx. We all had the same car. So I'm looking around, thinking they know I'm in the car park, and it's so funny. So obviously the story of Kevin Keegan was big in Newcastle, but obviously I wasn't able to get the footage that we are now. Like, so you here in Bulgaria can get everything that happens in Newcastle now, but in '83 you couldn't. So anyway, so he rings me and he's talking away, and he said, "I'd like to be Kevin Keegan's trade partner." And as I say, I keep looking around, and this can't be Arthur Cox. And so by the way I'm talking to him, he's like quite surprised on the other end of the line, and he's like, "It is Arthur Cox." So anyway, he said, "I want you to come back and partner Kevin Keegan." And I was coming to the end at Vancouver, so my contract 3 years was up. Wasn't anything bad or anything negative. Had a brilliant time, loved Vancouver. I've just recently been voted the best ever player, so I have to go back over to Vancouver to get a special award. So I love the place, you know. Sandra and I, we had a brilliant time there. So loved it, loved everything about it, loved the people. So it was amazing. But to get the chance to go back home for me to play for Newcastle, which I wasn't good enough to do younger, was amazing. And obviously to go and be Kevin Keegan's trade partner. So, you know, I arrived back into London with Sandra, my wife, and so we arrived and we're on the same flight as Kevin going to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And Kevin comes and talks to me, and he obviously says, "You're the person that Arthur keeps telling me about. You better be good." And then so eventually when we get off the plane, "I'll see you tomorrow." And as I said, "You better be good." And then the next day, so he watches me train for 10 minutes, and he said, "Arthur's made a good decision." So you would have you told me about seeing Andre about the thing at the Sage in Newcastle when he does his presentation. I don't know if you've seen the whole presentation. He said about Arthur Cox says to him and to Terry, because they're senior players, "We're going to get a good player in to play with you." And so they're thinking Kenny Dalglish, Ian Rush, and he talks about this and probably in the book, and they end up getting me. And so when I on the plane with Kevin, so Kevin looks $1 million and I look like a young kid from Longbenton in Newcastle, like look as though I haven't got 2 pennies. And it was just amazing, and the journey. So it wasn't long enough in the sense of I was there with him for about 7-8 months total, but he changed my life in terms of what he did for me. So Kevin Carr, you remember Kevin Carr kicking the ball. Obviously we talk about it. So this hotel is probably about 10 floors high. He used to kick the ball higher than that when he was kicking it out, and it would come down with snow on it, you know. That's what we used to say, because he kicked it so high. But it wasn't. So most goalkeepers now, if they're going to kick it, they half volley it. But he used to kick it out his hands like, wow, as hard as and as high as he could. And Kevin used to say to me, "I'll go for that." So every time he kicks it, I will go for it. So wherever he kicks it, so the ball's obviously travelling a long way, I will have time to be underneath it. So I will go for the flick-ons. You make sure you're running. That's all he ever said to me. Make sure that you're the one that runs. So if I'm going for a ball and I could get hurt, you know, you look at obviously Glenn Murray yesterday. Hopefully he's okay, but you know he gets hurt yesterday. Just a clash of heads, just an accident. But he gets hurt yesterday, and you just think Kevin did that all the time. You know, and the game was a lot more physical then, where he did take the knocks, and you can see him lying on the floor, and sometimes you're not sure if he is hurt or he was hurt, but he was amazing at doing that. And obviously I was off, and we had Waddle doing it on the other side, and to be fair, it worked brilliant. So him and Waddle scored 65 goals between the three of us.
In the promotion season?
Yeah, which luckily Andy Cole and I did in our first season in the Premier League together. So I say we did, because I only scored 24, he scored 41, but we scored 65 between us. It doesn't matter how it adds up. But
only 24, it's not a bad, yeah?
No, to be fair, so it was my highest ever.
Yeah.
Highest ever. I never got 24. So I got 20 at Newcastle, I got 20 at Everton, 19 a couple of times at Liverpool. But yeah, so 24 was amazing, you know. So considering I was missing for the first month because I had a fractured cheekbone and obviously the Liverpool testimonial. But no, Kevin was brilliant and always has been brilliant, you know. And obviously he's a brilliant person. So he is really, obviously, I know you went to see him in Newcastle. He has such a, so you look at my name now on the programs there. So you can read my name, and that was something he taught me. So when you look at autographs now, and I don't blame people because they haven't got the time now, it's just a squiggle, and you can't really read it. So you know who it is, but you don't really. So he said, make sure they can read your name and read it properly. So that is obvious to me, but that's my name. But and I look at Alan Shearer now, I look at Les Ferdinand now. You can read them.
Yeah.
They're not like they're obvious who they are, and he taught me that. So his is amazing. Obviously, his is with a double K, if you know what I mean. So it obviously looks really good. But he taught me that. So show people respect. Obviously, sign autographs. You know, sometimes it might take you longer than you want to, but what it means to the people is really special. And I was really lucky in that sense that he taught me a lot.
Thank you. Last question, and it's related to what you just said. Many people with your achievements are like develop this arrogance and this cockiness and this like self-confidence, and you seem so humble, so down to earth. How did you manage to maintain this? Like probably most people with championship titles, playing at World Cups, they have this think about them that they're just not acting normally, and you're like such a normal person. How did you do that? Is it natural? Is it in you, or is it something that you?
So where I came from, my background, we lived in what we call a council house back in Newcastle. So I think I'm normal. So some people might think I'm arrogant. Some people might think I'm different. So it's just an opinion, but I feel I'm normal. I'm very lucky to have done what I've done. So. We were talking yesterday when we were having lunch about how you can't pay to play for Newcastle United. So to play for your hometown club, when you look before me, forget when I was there, but before me, the Milburns, the Supermax, they've had so many unbelievable players. I mentioned Jinky Jimmy, Tony Green, who only played 33 games, but considered one of the best ever. Bob Moncur, who go down in history as, the captain of the first cup team, if you like. So there's been a lot better players than me that have gone through that club. But to play for your hometown club, when you look at them fans, so a lot of them, what we would say, they go into debt. So they basically borrow money to pay to go and watch the team. And that is something that makes you feel so special. So you know what they do for you, so you look at, obviously, Bulgaria, Sofia, traffic problems you have, but you look in England now, it just seems to be getting worse and worse, but we have people travelling. You look at yesterday what you were telling me, Andre, about people travelling from all parts of Bulgaria just to be there for the game. Yeah. And that is something that is like amazing. So we never have that issue. So as a player, you get told by Arthur Cox, Kevin Keegan, whatever, turn up at 1 o'clock, there's a bus. So you jump on the bus, you go wherever you need to go, you have food if you want food, you have drinks if you want drinks, you have a toilet if you want a toilet. You have everything. So football gives you everything, and that's the thing. So don't ever take it for granted, and that's obviously Kevin Terry in particular. Having won European Cups before they came to Newcastle in the 80s. I know Kevin had played in the 70s, but for Kevin to come to Newcastle as he did and change the perception of the people and the adoration that he got from the people was like incredible. And so he said, so mainly don't forget where you've come from. So I am really lucky, so I still live in Newcastle, a different part of Newcastle, but where I live and where I was lucky enough to be born, if you like, is like less than a mile from the training ground. And so amazing part of the world. And obviously in Newcastle, as in most places now, you can get everything you need. So I have a brilliant family. I have 2 kids that were born in Liverpool when I was at Liverpool and everything, but 2 people that obviously love the Northeast, work in the Northeast, and it's a brilliant place to be. So last night obviously proves what it means to you people. So you don't get what we get, but the way you people were last night in terms of the football and your love for it is obvious. And that is a great thing for us to see, so for me to see in particular. And that obviously it happens here in Sofia, but it also happens all over the world. There'll be different supporters branches in different parts of the world, be it America, be it Portugal, be it China. We will have supporters, but it was good for me firsthand to see it last night. And as you said, nicely you said that some people consider you different, but we're no different really. So you have no choice in life when you're born where you're going to be. So when you come out, you know, your parents, you know, beginnings if you like, you don't know where you're going to be born. You know, so I was lucky. I feel very lucky to be born in Newcastle, as you two probably feel the same being born where you are. So until you probably get to 5 or 6, you don't know what Newcastle means, or you don't know what Sofia means, you know, and that's the thing. So you got no choice, but you make the best of your choice, or the best of the break that you get. And I was lucky, so Newcastle was always a special team to most people, but for me it was always my team and always will be. So to get the chance to play for them once was amazing. To get the chance to play for them twice was incredible, and something I'll never forget. So it's great. So every time you bump into somebody, so me walking around Newcastle, and it sounds really big-headed, but I could never go anywhere without anybody saying hello, and that even hello, like so, like so. You two obviously know each other really well, but if you didn't know each other and you walked into this hotel, you probably would acknowledge each other, but you wouldn't talk to each other. Where people will always talk to me and ask me questions, but they're all good questions, they're never negative questions, you know, and like, you were a great player, or you were this, or you were that. So I've lived a privileged life, and I wouldn't swap a day with it.
Peter, we'll never forget your visit
No
in
problem.
Bulgaria. Thanks
Really
for doing
enjoyed
this
it.
for
Thank
us.
Say
Thank
last word to our
Yeah, to your
supporters in
fans.
Bulgaria.
Last night was a great night for me. So you said it was great, but for me personally, it was great. The way everybody sort of received me. So in the afternoon to watch the game was great. So obviously we can't watch it live as you did yesterday. So we can't watch it back in England occasionally, if it's chosen as the game of the day, if you like. So yesterday was Manchester Chelsea for TV back home, and obviously then Huddersfield and Liverpool. You know, but obviously 2 weeks ago at Old Trafford was a live game that we can all watch. But on a normal sort of 3 o'clock game at St James's Park, I'm not able to watch it as you did yesterday, and obviously me for you to watch it with you. So it was a great day. Shame about the result, but I'm convinced come the end of the season we'll be okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much,
You're
Peter,
welcome.
for everything.
No.
We have some books for signing.
Yeah, no problem.
And